Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Bodie. I manage recruitment, enrollment, and retention here at the University of Toledo for the College of Health and Human Services. So, what we're going to do today is just go through a quick presentation on basically what to expect when sending your child off to college. So, kind of hopping right in, we have the name of this class is going to be Adulting 4000, Sending Your Child to College. So, we won't have any quizzes, but we might have a little bit of homework if you guys want to hang tight. So, just jumping right in. Things to teach your child. So these can be things to do over the summer. We still have a couple months before the fall term will start up. So teaching them to do laundry and then insisting that they do laundry on their own. So it's one thing to explain how to do something. It's another to explain and actually have them do it in person. That will kind of help instill that learning. Teaching them how to cook a few meals. We have a lot of great dining opportunities here at the University of Toledo to choose from. But say they're in a pinch and they need to make something up real quick. It's a good idea for them to at least have some quick ideas of things that they could eat that'd be healthy and nutritious for them. Then looking at time management skills. So I'm sure in your guys' adult life, you've kind of figured out what works and what doesn't in regards to time management. So maybe having a quick conversation with your child about some of those things that have worked, some things that haven't, and then just kind of sharing the best practices with them. That way, when they get to college, it's not such a big adjustment. They already have some of those basics of time management down, and that can help them be a little bit more successful. Then just moving on to the next one. So these will be some things you could do with your child before they would start in the fall. So making some one-on-one time for you and your graduate. So they just recently graduated from high school. That's a huge accomplishment. So a lot of parents like to celebrate that in one way or another. Some like to do a getaway or a get-together to celebrate this. Others might like to buy some kind of small, meaningful item to kind of commemorate this experience. Then kind of switching gears. So I think it's a great idea to take pictures of all your child's valuables and their serial numbers. So if they're coming to school with, say a cell phone, a laptop, maybe some other small expensive items, documenting those serial numbers is a very good idea because it's much easier to track those items down if you already have those things documented ahead of time. So with myself, I keep a lot of my serial numbers just in a Google document. So if you have like a Gmail account, you can input all that information in there and it basically stores it to the cloud. So that makes it kind of easy to track everything in one place. Then making sure your child has your important contact information. So, whether that be you guys, your work phone, your cell phone, family, friends, grandparents, neighbors, that kind of stuff. Someone they could reach out to in case of an emergency. Then moving on to the next slide. So just kind of continuing on with some things to do with your child before they would start here. So talking with them about financial planning. So teaching them the basics of banking and financial management, showing them how to use an ATM card. So do they currently have a bank account? Is that something you want them to have? Do they want to have that? So talking to them about how to write a check. I remember the first time I wrote a check, it was a learning experience to say the least. So, if they've never done that before, it could be a little bit confusing. So letting them, maybe help you with your next couple checks you guys might have to write. Showing them how to deposit money. Talking to them how to balance their bank account, and then also talking to them about credit cards. So is that something you approve of or disapprove of? Do they want to get that? Are they well informed on what a credit card is? So maybe you could go over some of the pros and cons of credit cards with them, just so they're aware if that situation would ever come up for them in the future, just making sure they're well informed on that and then can make a good decision. And then discussing mutual academic goals and then kind of how they can be successful in obtaining them. So developing a plan, talking to them about what your expectations are for them while they're at college, and then making sure you understand what their expectations are. And then do they mesh together? So maybe there's some certain things they want to do or accomplish while they're at college that maybe you weren't aware of. So kind of having an open, kind of sit down conversation can be beneficial, so you can kind of share what your expectations are, and then they can also share theirs, and just making sure you guys are all on the same page together. So then these are some of the things that we've heard back from parents that they wish they would have known before sending their child off to school. So the first one is going to be FERPA. So in a nutshell, basically you can pay the bills for their college experience, but we can't release your child's information to you without their written permission. So if you want to know how they're doing in their classes, grades, attendance, that kind of stuff, We can't give access to you unless they give written permission. So if that's something you want, have a conversation with your student, and then there's a form they can sign off on to give you guys permission to access that. And then for your major, just knowing that your child may switch their major, potentially more than once. Recent data shows that about 50% of college students will switch their college major at some point during their academic career. Counseling from afar, so just kind of keeping in mind, they could encounter drama, while they're at college. Maybe they're homesick, they're struggling with a class, it's a little bit more challenging. So just being there to lend an ear and kind of help them through those experiences can go a really long way. Then kind of moving on to family transition. So there's going to be a lot of changes in your day-to-day life. They're going to be separating from, that traditional family setting, going off to college, just making sure that they're staying connected. There can also be a little bit of a financial adjustment there as well. So kind of being supportive while letting go, because you want to make sure they establish themselves as young adults. They're at college, they can learn from those mistakes and then grow as a person. So that relationship kind of transitions. It moves from more of a parent-child relationship now more to an adult-adult relationship. So I think it's kind of important to trust your student in their decision-making skills, become an active listener. And a coach, I think we can all, probably do a little bit better with active listening, doing that, so making sure you're present for those conversations. And then one thing that might be helpful is don't do things for your student that they can and should do for themselves. So in the beginning, we talked about laundry and cooking, those kind of things. Maybe it's something it's time for them to kind of learn that on their own and kind of develop those life skills so they can be a little bit more successful down the road. And then just kind of remembering that your child is the CEO of his or her college experience. So they need to take ownership for their decisions and then kind of continue to work through that and try to help achieve their goals that they're looking for. So then moving on, so breaking news about communication. So you guys are probably all well aware of this, but cell phones, texting, social networking, social media is on the rise. That seems to be the way that a lot of people are communicating. Email and snail mail are kind of on the decline. So not saying that any of those would be better or worse than the other, but it's just kind of recognizing how your student prefers to communicate. And then using that to your advantage. So, maybe you want to send them a quick text to check in here or there, but there also can be some, sentiment to a handwritten letter that might have a little bit more meaning in that sense. So just kind of keeping that in mind, being aware. I'd like to share with you guys a little bit of quick data. So a study recently found that students who often or very often contact their parents report greater satisfaction with their college experience, as well as higher levels of engagement and academic success. So kind of on the flip side of that, students with hyper-involved parents do report lower grades, and students who have too much contact with high school friends tend to lag behind in learning and development. So I think what that means is there's kind of a fine line between having the right amount of involvement and too much involvement, because that could hinder their growth and success as a college student. Then kind of moving on to academic success for your students. So we have a ton of resources on campus, and they'll be well aware of those throughout Rocket Launch. They'll kind of get explained. But it's important to ask for help early. We unfortunately can't read minds, so if there is an issue or something, it's really important for your student to speak up so we can address that as early as possible. Get to know your faculty. Faculty all have office hours, so that's a great opportunity if they want to just connect and kind of begin to develop a relationship with their professor, or even just stop in because they have some quick questions. Those office hours are a great way to accomplish that. Time management, study skills, they would have developed some of those during high school, but college is a little bit different. So talking with them over the summer can really help them through that. And then just having open lines of communication, that's important for you to have those open lines. It's also important for them to have that with their advisor, success coach, faculty, and other professionals here at the University of Toledo to make sure they have a enjoyable and successful experience. Then these next couple slides, you guys can just kind of tag along with me, but it just kind of gives a sample weekly schedule. So the first one here, I'm just going to kind of go over their schedule, how that might be set up, and just kind of give you guys a inside look of how that schedule can fill up quickly. So on this next slide here, we have work. So this student will be working about 20 hours a week in addition to a full-time class load. It kind of depends. Do they want to work while they're in college? If so, how much do they want to work? UT, we have a lot of student worker positions available. So I always think that's a great opportunity. When I was in college, I worked a lot and did some various things. But one of the main benefits of being a student worker, those guys are going to understand that college comes first. So they're going to make sure your classes are the priority. So they're going to build your work schedule around your class schedule. So that can be one of the biggest benefits there, making sure that your college experience is still the top priority, and that wouldn't get put on a back burner. Then kind of moving on, so we have some other things: sleep, lunch, dinner, student organization, some social time is built into the schedule. So starting to get a little bit busier. And then we will throw in study time. So the general rule of thumb is if you're taking 1 credit hour, generally you're going to have about 2 to 3 hours outside of class time you'd have to devote to study, working on assignments, writing papers, that kind of stuff. So schedules will fill up pretty quickly. So kind of the take home from this for parents, just want you guys to keep in mind, some weeks will be busier than others. Some might be a little bit slower. So say you reach out to your student and they don't seem, super talkative, or something might seem a little bit off. It's important to follow up, figure out what's going on, but just keep in mind that it could be, they just have a really busy week and they're just trying to adjust to college and kind of figure out how this all works and manage, their time successfully. The next one here, we just kind of have a sample first semester schedule. So you can see on here orientation. That's going to kind of just introduce them to the university and then our specific college. That is actually taught by their academic advisor. They will see them once a week for that class. So that's a great way for them to start to build that relationship with their advisor, help make them a little bit more comfortable reaching out, asking questions, doing that kind of stuff, and seeing them once a week. They're going to be in their ear for about an hour. That's a great opportunity for them to, kind of address any of those issues early on that they might have. Then we just have a couple recent alumni profiles. If you guys want to skim through those, just kind of learn a little bit more about some of our more recent students. And then just in closing, this is my contact information here. If you guys have anything, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. So the contact information on here, that would be my work phone. I'll also put my personal cell phone on here. So if you guys want to call or text me, you're more than welcome to reach out in that regard if you want to go over anything or, just kind of address any basic questions. But I'll kind of close that up. I want to thank you guys for tuning into this. If you did have any questions about this presentation or just anything college related, please reach out to me. As I said, I will link my cell phone number with this video so you guys can directly reach out to me if there's anything I can do to further assist. So thank you guys. Bye.